At exactly 300 hours, the silence of the Persian Gulf is shattered by a sound that isn't just a noise, it's a physical pressure wave. From the vertical launch cells of the USS Gravely, a Tomahawk cruise missile erupts in a pillar of white-hot fire, screaming toward the jagged peaks of the Zagros Mountains. Seconds later, the booster falls away. The turbofan spools to life with a high-pitched whine, and the missile drops to just 50 feet above the water's surface to hide in the radar clutter. This isn't a random strike. It's the opening note of a symphony of destruction. Within 90 seconds, 8 missiles are gone, followed by dozens more from neighboring destroyers. Deep inside the OGOB-44 underground complex, Iranian commanders believe they are untouchable. They sit behind hundreds of feet of solid granite, convinced their city of missiles is an invisible fortress. But they are living in a delusion. They have no idea that every mobile launcher they own is currently broadcasting its precise GPS coordinates to the sky via clandestine beacons planted months ago. While they stare at their glowing green radar screens, a hidden beacon, covertly attached by a deep cover operative, is pulsing a kill coordinate directly to an OFEC-16 spy satellite orbiting 300 miles overhead. This is the moment they realize they haven't just been tracked, they've been outplayed before they even touched the launch button. For years, the Iranian military boasted about their air gap, the idea that their systems were totally isolated from the outside world. But in the age of silicon and shadows, an air gap is just a minor speed bump for Unit 8200. These trackers aren't your typical GPS units. They are passive, dormant, and virtually undetectable, sitting in a low-power sleep mode for years until a specific encrypted frequency wakes them up. The moment the U.S. Navy gives the go signal, the mountain range doesn't look like rock to the coalition, it looks like a glass house. The satellite doesn't just see the mountain, it sees the city of missiles from the inside out, identifying the exact bay, the exact tunnel, and the exact coordinate of every single heavy transporter hidden within the range. 312 hours. As the Tomahawk swarm closes in on the Iranian coastline, the air defense grid prepares to light up the night. The OGOB-44 complex relies on a sophisticated, hardened fiber optic network to funnel data to their Bavar 373 missile batteries. But for this data to move, the complex requires a massive, constant flow of high-voltage power. The Israeli Air Force knows that hitting a bunker with a missile is like throwing a rock at a mountain. It's a waste of resources. Instead, they go for the jugular. A pair of F-35I ROM fighters operating under strict electronic silence to remain invisible to the Iranian radar net reach their release point over the Iraqi border. They don't aim for the reinforced doors. They aim for the energy nodes. Under the wings of the ROMs, the Rampage supersonic missiles ignite with a deafening roar. These aren't standard high-explosive warheads. They are kinetic energy penetrators designed for structural collapse. They scream into the high-voltage transformer substations surrounding the complex at Mach 4. A series of blinding flashes ripple across the mountain range as the substations are vaporized into scrap metal. The grid dies instantly. Inside the OGOB-44 control rooms, the lights flicker once and then vanish into total darkness. The primary fiber optic network, the very backbone of Iran's defense, goes dead. The Iranian commanders are forced into a desperate scramble, triggering the facility's massive industrial-grade emergency backup generators. But this is the final tactical blunder. These generators are monsters that belch out massive plumes of superheated exhaust as they struggle to power the bunker's life support and weapon systems. In the freezing cold of the mountain night, these exhaust vents turn into radiant neon signs on the long-range infrared sensors of the Israeli aircraft circling miles away. The ghosts are no longer hidden. They are now glowing, high-contrast thermal signatures, perfectly indexed for the cruise missiles that are already closing the distance at Mach 0.7. The power grid wasn't just a utility, it was the nerve center. And Israel just severed the spine. 0500 hours. The subterranean defense grid is flickering under the strain of backup power, But the command staff is still operative, frantically trying to realign their launchers to intercept the inbound Tomahawks. They believe they have one last chance to save their arsenal. They are about to be introduced to the terrifying digital reality of modern cyber warfare. From a secure, high-bandwidth relay somewhere over the Jordanian border, Unit 8200 initiates a red code injection. Using a sophisticated man-in-the-middle exploit, they breach the IRGC's satellite-fed command and control uplink. The system doesn't just crash, it starts to hallucinate. Every fire control terminal inside the dark bunker suddenly flashes a vivid crimson emergency maintenance required status. The message is simple, urgent, and perfectly formatted to look like an official IRGC internal directive. Immediate systemic anomaly detected. All batteries cease refueling, initiate emergency shutdown, and retreat to hardened depot sectors for maintenance. This is a masterclass in psychological warfare, using the enemy's own rigid top-down command structure as a weapon. The result is absolute, unmitigated chaos. The Iranian crew commanders, trained to obey automated diagnostic prompts without question, pulled the master switches on their billion-dollar mobile launchers. The hydraulic lines hiss as the massive trucks lower their missiles. Vents are closed, fueling lines are disconnected, and the crews, believing they are following a life-saving safety directive, begin the long, slow process of driving their vehicles out of the hardened bays. They think they are retreating to safety. In reality, they are leaving the only protection they have. They are no longer ghosts in a concrete bunker. They are now massive metal targets moving in a slow, pathetic line across the open, barren desert plateau. From their high-altitude perch, the Israeli sensors track every single vehicle as it clears the tunnel exit. The radar picture is crystal clear, and the trap is officially sprung. 0630 hours. The Iranian command finally realizes that the red code was a malicious deception, but the panic has already set in. In a frantic attempt to regain control of the airspace, they initiate a rapid scramble of their remaining Air Force assets. From the hardened revetments of Mehrabad, a flight of MiG-29s and F-14s roars into the sky, their radar sets spinning up to full power as they desperately search for the incoming Tomahawk wave. This is exactly what the F-35I Adir flight was waiting for. The Adirs, operating in total silence, don't even bother to engage with missiles. They don't have to. As the Iranian fighters achieve a radar lock, the Adir flight activates a deep-level digital intrusion protocol. This isn't just electronic jamming, it's a rewrite of reality. The Adir's AESA arrays pulse a highly specific electromagnetic waveform that mimics the signature of an American F-35, but with a hidden layer. They rewrite the incoming target acquisition packets on the Iranian Bavar 373 radar screens. Inside the Ogab 44 bunker, the screens become a strobe of electronic madness. The Adir flight digitally tags the Iranian MiG-29s and F-14s as hostile cruise missiles. Inside the cockpits of the Iranian fighters, the warning systems scream in a panicked tone. The ground controllers are yelling for an intercept, but the Bavar system, fed with corrupted sensor data, automatically locks onto its own aircraft as the primary threat. It is the ultimate nightmare for any pilot. Your own air defense system is painting you as the enemy. The atmosphere above the Zagros Mountains turns into a chaotic scramble of friendly fire. The Bavar batteries, automated and blind to the truth, ripple fire their missiles toward their own pilots. The F-35s merely watch from a perfect, silent orbit as the Iranian Air Force is picked apart by its own ground defenses. There is no need for American missiles yet. The Iranian nervous system is tearing itself to pieces, while the Adir pilots, the silent conductors of this symphony, don't even bother to open their internal weapons bays. 8:30 hours. The Iranian air defense network is a smoldering ruin. Their interceptors are falling from the sky, and their bunker command is paralyzed by internal system conflicts. The city of missiles is now completely exposed. a massive target sitting in a digital fishbowl high above the clouds. The Israeli Oren aircraft acts as the eyes of the entire coalition, serving as the silent conductor of the final act. Through a high-security, low-latency Link 16 bridge, the Oren pushes a continuous, real-time fire control feed directly into the combat systems of American B-1B Lancer bombers circling near the Iraqi border. The pilots of the B-1Bs don't even need to turn on their own radar, which would give away their position. They are flying dark, silent, and invisible. On their flight displays, the target data triangulated by the Oren and verified by the OFEC-16 satellite appears with terrifying clarity. Every launcher that was tricked into leaving the bunker is highlighted in a crisp, glowing box. This is the look of Israel meeting the punch of America. The B-1Bs reach their release point. The massive weapon bay doors slide open, and in a synchronized strike, they release a cascade of 2,000-pound smart bombs. These JDAMs don't just fall. They guide themselves with surgical, GPS-assisted apathy toward the coordinates broadcasted by the coalition. The impact is definitive. Across the Zagros Plateau, the exposed Iranian launchers, thinking they were retreating to safety, are vaporized in a series of perfectly timed, high-yield detonations. The bombs hit with such precision that the mountain roads are blocked by massive rock slides, trapping any remaining vehicles in a kill zone from which there is no escape. As the B-1Bs bank away, the air crews observe the aftermath on their tactical screens. Every green dot representing an Iranian threat vanishes into a cloud of dust and fire. The strategic damage is absolute. Years of military investment wiped out in a single morning. 10:30 a.m. In a final, desperate act of defiance, the remaining IRGC naval units and hidden coastal cruise missile batteries are ordered to fire. It is a suicide swarm maneuver, a chaotic, massive launch intended to saturate the U.S. Navy's defenses and force a retreat. Dozens of anti-ship missiles scream off their rails, aiming for the heart of the U.S. fleet in the Gulf, but the response is instantaneous and automated. This is where the Aegis Baseline 10 system, fed by the high-fidelity tracks of the SPY-6 radar, turns the battlefield into a shooting gallery. The U.S. destroyers don't even wait for human authorization. The ships operate in an autonomous intercept mode that processes threats faster than a human brain can blink. The sky above the Gulf erupts in white-hot streaks as the USS Gravely and USS Carney launch a wall of interceptors. These missiles don't just collide with the threats, they hunt them down with the cold logic of a computer-controlled predator. Simultaneously, from the horizon, Israeli Arrow 3 interceptors, slave to the U.S. Navy's network, cross the border to engage high-trajectory ballistic threats. But the real star of the show is the Helios laser system. As the final low-flying cruise missiles close in, the laser mounts track and engage with invisible beams of intense thermal energy. The lasers carve through the incoming steel like a scalpel through paper, igniting fuel tanks and warheads mid-flight. The swarm tactic, which Tehran spent billions of dollars and decades perfecting, is dismantled in less than 5 minutes. Not a single Iranian missile breaks the defensive perimeter. The sky is clear, the swarm is gone, and the ocean is littered with the burning debris of a failed doctrine. 1,200 hours. The radar screens on the coalition ships go flat. The chaotic swarm has been replaced by the quiet drift of smoke across the water. The Ogob-44 subterranean labyrinth, once the pride of the IRGC, is now a tomb. Its reinforced concrete tunnel mouths are shattered and sealed by thousands of tons of collapsed granite, courtesy of the precision strikes. The strategic damage is total. 80% of Iran's ballistic missile capability has been neutralized in a matter of hours. The remaining launchers, caught in the open during their botched maintenance retreat, are nothing more than smoking husks on the desert highways. In Syria and Lebanon, long-range Long-range reconnaissance sensors detect Russian support aircraft executing emergency turns to the north. They've seen enough. They realize that the overmatch isn't just a military theory, it's a demonstrated brutal reality. The power balance of the Middle East has shifted permanently. The City of Missiles was defeated not by a bigger army, but by a smarter one. It serves as a grim reminder for the modern world. In an era of silicon, shadows, and code, it doesn't matter how thick your walls are. If the enemy is already inside your system, your fortress is just a pre-dug grave. The world watches the satellite footage of the smoldering Zagros Mountains and realizes that the rules of engagement have changed forever. The invisible war is over, and the ghosts have finally been laid to rest.